Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Jasmine's First Impression Sports Talk. Tonight, I have a phenomenal show. I have head coach of Bryn Athyn College, Sean Westerlund. I'm really excited to have him. And then we're going to talk later on about LeBron James signing his extension and NFL predictions. So let's get started.
Welcome to Jasmine Pollock's First Impression Sports Talk, the fastest growing sports talk show in the country. And now, here's your host, Jasmine Pollock.
Welcome back to Jasmine's First Impression Sports Talk. And to kick the night off, I want to bring in head coach Sean Westerlund. Hi, Sean. How are you doing?
Hey, Jasmine. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm thrilled to be here.
Of course, anytime. And just a few weeks ago, I interviewed your twin brother, Richard Westerlund, and that was a fun conversation with him. So let's start with you. Tell the audience a little bit about yourself and just being a head coach at Bryn College.
For sure. So I've been coaching basketball for the last 12 years. I started off as an assistant coach at Hartford Christian under my brother, Richard Westerlund. And, you know, I appeared on your show back in February, and I told, Mr. Leon how I had no desire to coach. I did it because my brother asked me to, and I said I'd give him a day, and that day turned into 6 years. And it was probably one of the greatest decisions of my life because I was able to find something I was passionate about, find my purpose, and really refine my why. After 6 years at Hartford Christian, 3 as an assistant coach, 3 as a head coach, I was able to get an opportunity to coach at Hood College in Frederick, Maryland. And it was there that I finally got exposed to the college level. And it was a super humbling experience for me because from 19 to really 24 years old, all I had experienced as a coach was winning.
Right.
We did do a 3-year rebuild at Hartford Christian, my first 3 years as an assistant, but as a head coach, the only thing that we experienced was winning championships. We won, 3 more conference championships. We won a national championship. We went up a division in states. We had the youngest team in Christian school state history to make it to a final. We ended up losing to a really good Chapelgate Christian team, and we were bringing back 4 sophomores and a junior. And then when I got to Hood College, I realized how little I knew about basketball. And it was a wonderful experience of growth for me because my boss, Chad Dickman, who I think is one of the best X's and O's guys in the country, really allowed me to lean into my strengths. And he didn't define my role by what I couldn't do, but he defined it by what I could do. And I felt really empowered to dive into leadership development, social media branding, recruiting, building relationships. And that allowed me to really refine my process.
Right.
We did a great job over 4 years, and it culminated actually this past year after COVID with the team, our first recruiting class that I was a part of, winning a championship, the first one in Hood College history. So it was super, super proud for those guys, super proud for Chad Dickman. Right before COVID at the end of that year, 1920, Bryn Athyn came available, and I had always set out a goal to be a college head coach before the time I was 30. And, with Bryn Athyn during COVID, the whole interview process was virtual. I never stepped foot on campus. I had 5 virtual interviews. It was a really weird experience, but at the end of the day, they ended up giving me the opportunity. And, man, it's been a heck of a ride. I'm so grateful for it because we're such a young program. We just finished year 8 as a program. My first year, COVID canceled us. So 21-22 was really our first actual year of competition. And it wasn't the season that we wanted,
Right.
but it was a season that we needed. And I'm so grateful for it. Our guys got better. I got better. I think it was probably the most I've ever learned as a coach was the bubble year and the 21-22 season. And so that's me in a nutshell professionally. Personally, I have a young daughter. She's about to be 8 months old, and she's the light of my world. And, I'm just, I love the quote, let's not measure success by productivity, but measure it by presence. And so what I'm trying to do each and every day is just stay present in the moment and really enjoy the blessings that are thrown my way.
Right. And you and your brother, even talking to him, you guys have that winning gene. Like you
Mhm.
both have that experience. You guys have been around the game of basketball a lot, and you guys have a lot of connections with many different people. So you guys have the experience. But you mentioned at Bryn Athyn, you were saying that it's a very young program. So at this school, what is the foundation like there? Is it a big school? Is there a lot of kids, coming there? What is it like there? What's the foundation like?
Yeah, for sure. So we actually have a religious affiliation with our school. Our denomination is technically New Church, which is a denomination of Christianity. We are actually the smallest Division III in the nation. We have about 350 students. So you really get that intimate touch at Bryn Athyn. Like I said, we're a young program, and when I took over, they had not experienced a ton of success. But I credit Justin Baxter for the job that he did. When you're building a program from scratch, it's really hard.
Right.
It's really hard to teach young guys how to win, and it's really hard to bring in guys that want to be a part of making history. And so I credit him because some of our best leaders in our program the last 2 years were guys that he brought in, and that allowed us to really. I commend them. Like I have the greatest leader I've ever coached. His name is Anthony Burr, and he's not a kid that I recruited. Justin Baxter recruited him, and he's going to be my captain again this year. And
Right.
if it wasn't for him, I don't know if our culture would be where it's at, because he's bought in from the jump. And so we've been able to lay a vision as a program. We're young. Last year we played 5 freshmen, 2 sophomores, 2 juniors, and so we bring back all those guys. And I think that it's a very exciting time to be a part of Bryn Athyn basketball, just because we're entering year 2 of competition, year 3 as a program. We've done some amazing things. And I was actually talking to one of my guys this morning in my office. His name's Isaiah Curitin, about how we've taken some steps.
Right.
And again, like we haven't made that huge jump, but like, quite frankly, like it never goes quite as planned. But
right.
The plan that was meant, our path that was meant for us, we made those leaps. Like we have the best GPA out of all the male teams in the athletic department. We've done that for 2 years in a row. When I got there, we had a 2.3. We now average a 3.15. It's amazing. Our guys don't miss class. They don't cut chapel. They are engaged members of the community, and they are really embracing what it is to be a community member.
Right.
And that's something that we talk about with our recruits, is like we understand that you're considering Bryn Athyn because of basketball. But if you're going to come play basketball at Bryn Athyn, you're going to be an engaged member of the community, and you're going to lead the way, because that's what we want. We want rock stars and world changers. And so I credit the guys for really buying into that and seeing the value in being connectors and being communicators and leaders. And that's really what brings me so much joy about this place.
And I can attest to that fact, because I currently go to Warner University, which is a small Christian school here in Florida. And this is my final year here, and we're starting tomorrow, actually. So
Good luck.
I noticed, yeah, for sure. I noticed, like, when it comes to these Christian schools, like, it's not just about being the athlete, it's about doing the other things outside of the field, outside of the court, or where have you. And it's just amazing getting that bond. And personally, I've always been in a small college, and I personally love small colleges, because you get that one-on-one experience, and you get a lot of good connections with a lot of different people. So I think that's really cool. And just seeing the athletes develop, and even our school here, it's 90% athletes, literally 90% athletes. So we have a lot of athletes here. And it's very important, because they put their effort not just on the court, but in the classroom, and, in chapel, and a lot of community service and different things like that, and doing the work. But when it comes to the faith, like, how important is it in the locker room to have that faith from coaches to players? How important is that to you?
Yeah. So one of the things that I love about Bryn Athyn is that they're actually very evangelical in their approach. And so when I talk to families and to my players, I'm very upfront about our religious obligations. You have to take 4 religion classes. You have to go to chapel, but they don't require any faith to go to the school, but they want to expose you to it. And I think that's really powerful for our guys who, when I talk to families, I say we have 3 denominations on our team. We have Christians, we have Catholics, and we have Hoopers. Like Hoopers, I'm like, they're just guys that have never cracked the door of a church, never cracked the Bible, but they're coming to Bryn Athyn to play some basketball, and they're getting exposed to, for the first time, a spiritual worldview, and it's absolutely amazing. And I think for our guys, what I try and do is allow them to be authentic, and I'm going to be authentic. And if they have questions about how I can live life with such great joy and presence, we can talk about it. If there's a difference of opinions, that's great. Let's have that dialogue,
Right.
and really talk about it. But there's so many principles within faith that apply to a life, like living a purpose-driven life. I don't care what faith you are. Having a purpose is absolutely
Right.
amazing. It's
Absolutely.
so important. I talk to my guys all the time about having a why, because when you have a why, it doesn't matter what the how is. The why will get you through. And so, I think that's the beauty of having a faith background and being able to kind of expose them to certain things. And we have our Friday chapels are led by Reverend Chuck Blair, and he does an absolutely amazing job at giving the message in digestible bites for every individual, whether they've been in the church their entire lives, or they've gone to Christian school, or if they have been, for the first time hearing the word. And I think that's so powerful, because like sometimes faith and religion can be so scary for
Mhm.
individuals. And when you're 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, you're still learning about yourself, and you're trying to
Absolutely.
figure out where you fit in the world. You're trying to figure out what is right. And so that's what I love about Bryn Athyn, is the fact that we're able to really meet them where they're at. And so that's our approach. And I talk a lot of times with our guys too, just be authentic, and let's connect, right? Connection is
Yeah.
the greatest gift we've ever been given. And so when we look at the story of the Bible, it's all about connection. It's all about love. It's all
Connection.
about empathy.
Absolutely.
And so I think that's a wonderful thing that we really try and emphasize in our locker room.
And that's very powerful, is having the connection. I mean, that's literally the bread and butter of a lot of different things, even with relationships, whether that's a coach to athlete, business, different things like that. It's so important to have those connections and build those connections, because they can take you far. I mean, it's not just, oh, I'm done talking to coach here and then I'm off. No, it's like, I'm still going to deal with this person. I built a relationship with that person. It's so powerful. But for you, as head coach at Bryn Athyn, what can we expect from you guys this upcoming season? What does Bryn Athyn look like? What does it look like for college basketball?
Yeah, I think it's an exciting year for Bryn Athyn. It's going to be another year of growth for us. I think that we have a chance to really build off our last 5 weeks. In our last 5 weeks, we went 6-5. We averaged 88 points a game. We shot 38% from three. We averaged 17 assists. We forced 25 turnovers, averaged 14 steals in those last 11 games. And while we were battling some injuries, I think it really allowed guys to grow into different roles that they might not have been able to be put in without the injuries, without the adversity. And so we did make a point of emphasis with recruiting to get older, because we were so young. And I think we did
Mhm.
that, bringing in 5 transfers. We need to get a little bigger. And so we've been able to add some really good size with skill, which is really important for us. We brought in a really good D2 transfer, 6'6" guard from Baltimore, Maryland, that I think is going to be pretty special. We want to continue to shoot the basketball really well. We want to try and take 30, 35 threes a game. So we put a premium on shooting. And I believe 8 out of our 9 commitments shot above 39% from three, whether that was at their last 4 year, their JUCO, or in high school. And so for us, we're just trying to focus on the process.
Mhm.
And I think that we have a chance to really continue to take another step. We're going to be better. Whether or
Yeah.
not our record will be better, I don't know. I'm not really worried about the result. I'm more worried about the process. And, I think the guys are really excited to get back together and continue to build. But, I have high hopes for this group that they can
Mhm.
realize the dreams, because they deserve to realize their dreams as college basketball players. And for me to be able to be there alongside them and empowering them, that would really be a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. Your brother had a similar take on that too when I asked him about their college season coming up. And speaking of your brother, like talking with him, like, you both are head basketball coaches. You're both the twins, so I know the whole sibling, because I have a little sister, and we are always, being competitive. So what is it like, you know, you're coaching your team and your brother's over here coaching his team, and then you guys happen to face each other or start talking about it? What is that conversation like? Do you guys like get upset with each other, like, oh, my team is this, my team is that? Like, how is that like?
Yeah, I think Rich and I's personalities are a bit different, and I think that's really good for us. I think Rich is always a dreamer. I mean, he is always thinking the absolute best, and I love that about him, because it's that. And I say this with the utmost kindness. Like, his his delusional grandeur has allowed him to be so successful. And he's not delusional because every mountain that he's faced, he's been able to climb. He's been the youngest high school coach in America. He's been the youngest college coach in America. He won a national championship in his first year. And so that optimism that allows him, that sometimes can rub people the wrong way, has allowed him to be so successful. Where I try and take a more realistic approach. And, I think for Rich and I, that game that we played last year was really a culmination, not even a culmination. It's more of a beginning of a journey for us because we've worked really hard to get to this place. And, I think about the people alongside of us that have been along the way with us. And so Rich and I could look back and be like, man, like we're not done yet, but to be here is pretty amazing. And so his team did beat ours last year. It was a great game. And I knew that his team would be probably the toughest team that we play all year. And I felt like our guys gave them a heck of a fight. And I'm really proud of the way that we played and the way that we were able to really execute the game plan for 35 minutes. There's a 5-minute stretch that we didn't really execute it, and they made us pay, but that's what the number one team in the country does. And so, I tip my hat to him. Rich has done a great job. He can get dudes. That man can sell ice to an Eskimo. And how charismatic he can be. He can tell a story and spin a yarn. So it makes sense that he can get the guys that he does, and he's done a heck of a job at Great Lakes, and I'm super happy for him.
Yeah, and the biggest thing is you both are making history. You both are phenomenal coaches. Like just hearing you guys talk, and you guys are different, but there's still that same goal, of success and having the connections like we spoke about earlier. So you guys are phenomenal, and you're changing these young guys' lives. You're making a difference in both of your colleges. Him at Great Lakes and you at Bryn Athyn. It's very awesome. But before we wrap up this segment, I want to ask you so being that you and your brother are coaches, what advice can you give to young coaches that are coming? Like coaches that, I'm trying to start off somewhere, either that's a small college or a big college. What advice would you give them?
Yeah. First, before I get into that, thank you for those kind words. That's deeply meaningful to me. It's why I don't do it for praise, but to see that recognition and for you to see that means a lot to me. Right. For advice to young coaches, I would say number one, to be authentic to yourself. I think early on in my coaching journey, I tried to be so many other coaches. I tried to pick pieces, and I had to find my own voice. And then I think number two is to really trust the process. I think in any journey, there's going to be sometimes some hard moments, and some people call that doubt. Some people call that just the pivotal moments. I think it's important to lean into that because that allows you to understand that your purpose is greater. And when you have that overwhelming why and that purpose, that allows you to really get through those hard times. And then I think too, and this is something that I need to continue to improve on, is don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to reach out to other coaches. And, I remember going up and I've reached out to a bunch of coaches, and a lot of them did not return my calls or texts or emails or handwritten notes. And I didn't do it to get a response. It would have been nice to get a response.
Right.
And for me, what I try to do now as an older coach is to really try and respond to everyone. I don't always get back to everyone. And sometimes it gets overwhelming in my Twitter DMs or my email or my text, but I really try. And so I'd encourage coaches to reach out, young coaches to reach out, because that's how you learn. Go watch practices, go to games at all different levels, and don't pigeonhole yourself to a certain level just because that's what you see on TV. I think my brother Rich, he's very open about he wanted to be the youngest Division I coach in America. He no longer has the goal of being a Division I coach. He wants to bloom where he's planted. And I think that's an amazing evolution in your journey. And so when you limit yourself by putting yourself in a box, you potentially miss out on some amazing opportunities. And so I would really encourage young coaches to really be open to every single opportunity, because you never know how that opportunity is going to bless you. And I know for me, I never really thought I'd be at Bryn Athyn, but it's been an absolutely amazing journey for me. And I'm so grateful to be along this ride and to be experiencing this.
Definitely. And God placed you and your brother in these positions, and you guys are thriving. And like I said, changing lives for young men and even young athletes that are coming is inspiring to me. And just being at a Christian college, that's an awesome thing. And I love this is a really fun experience, just, talking to you and your brother and many countless other coaches and, being here. It's really awesome. But Thank you, Sean. It was a pleasure talking to you again. Me and your brother and we all have to get on the show together and have a little banter.
Absolutely.
But yes,
I love the opportunity to bat it around with you and Rich.
Yes, definitely. We're gonna have to set that up. Leon, let's set that up. But that wraps up this segment. We're going to head into the next segment. We're going to talk about LeBron James signing his extension and what does that mean for Bronny? What does that mean for his legacy? And then we're going to talk about NFL predictions. So we'll be right back with a short break.
Renting is everything. It's style at your doorstep, off the runway and into your closet. It's every trend you've been dying to try and every designer you've yet to discover. It's wearing it your way every time and making it count everywhere you go. It's never worrying about what to wear because something new is always coming your way. That's why renting is everything. New styles, top designers, all for a flat monthly fee. Start your subscription at renttherunway.com.
Slow roasted over hickory fire and pulled by hand. This is the way pit pork has always been done. Pulled pork lovers, rejoice. The smoky old days are back at the Smoke Shack. From the creative team that brought you the Browning Project and Dead by Morning comes a new thriller that will change the way you look at white-collar crime forever. Falling from the Sky.
You're watching Jasmine Pollock's First Impressions Sports Talk. Be sure to join Jasmine every week for great conversation on the NBA, NFL, and a wide variety of sports topics. To see past episodes of First Impressions Sports Talk, go to YouTube and search First Impressions Sports Talk. You can connect with Jasmine on LinkedIn by searching Jasmine Pollock. And now, back to more First Impressions Sports Talk.
Welcome back to Jasmine's First Impressions Sports Talk. And the voices you just heard were from Dion Hunter and Kelly Johnson. If you want voiceover work done, you can contact Leon Thomas at theleonthomasgroup.com, which is below on the screen. If you would like to be a guest on my show and see past episodes, you can go to my website at jasmineonsports.com and see future shows that are coming out as well. So let's start with this next segment. Let's bring in Sean, my dad, Jeremiah. We're going to have a good conversation about NFL, about basketball, all these things. So let's kick off the conversation with LeBron James signing an extension. So he signed extra 2 years, $97 million contract signing, making him the highest paid player in NBA history. Ridiculous. So, Sean, let's start with you. What does this say about LeBron's legacy? Because there was talks of him going back to Cleveland, wanting to play with his son. What is your thoughts on this extension?
I mean, I love it for LeBron. I think that he's earned the right to be able to do what he wants. I think that he's actually, because of the NBA salary cap, he's limited how much he should be making. You know, on a free market, he probably would be making a ton more. And I think his goal is to ultimately play with his son. And I think this extension will allow him to do so. And again, I think he's earned that right. And while the Lakers aren't probably the best situation for him, I think at this point, his final chapter to his legacy is playing with Bronny. And so I think it's a very cool thing for him.
For sure. I'm really looking forward to that. Seeing him and Bronny, I think that would be huge to see that. So, Dad, for you, what is your thoughts on LeBron signing this extension?
Well, I think, I agree with Coach. I think also it's a testament to just how he's taken care of himself over the years. Him later in his career, that they're still willing to pay him what they're paying him, and they still have the belief that he's going to have the same production that he's always had, which I think is a testament to just how he prepares and how he continues to prepare. And like Coach said, I do think he deserves whatever he gets at this point. because to be honest with you, I don't know what's going to happen when LeBron leaves the league because, we're getting to that point. And right now, you got to try to, you try to find these superstars. And I'm old enough now to have had different superstars. I grew up watching Jordan, and then of course you move on to seeing LeBron and Kobe early in their careers, and so on. And now it's kind of getting to that point where you're a little worried about, man, if this guy retires, who am I going to, kind of follow?
Mm-hmm.
So we have to appreciate it while he's still out there. And as far as his son playing with him, I don't know. I don't know if that's going to happen for the simple fact that the rules are a little bit different now as far as the age, and maybe something will happen within the next couple of years. But we'll just have to wait and see. That would be a wonderful thing to see
Yes.
because it's never been done. So why not try to do it? If he needs to play until he's like 45, hey, why not? Give it a shot.
Right.
But I think it's definitely possible with today's medicine and how he takes care of his body. I think it definitely be a possibility.
Now I saw a comment from Voss, Jeremiah. I want you to answer this one. So it said, if we could bring that comment up, it says, "Is his son good enough to make the NBA?" I don't know at all. Just asking. What do you think about that, Jeremiah?
I would say it doesn't matter if his son is good or not. They're going to get him inside the NBA in order for any team to try and get LeBron. And I think that goes the distance when it comes to this decision too, because Bron James, he is going to make the NBA. He has the ability of just the IQ that he has. He's building himself up every year that we see him. It seems like he's just getting better and better when it comes to his IQ, when it comes to his dunking, and when it just comes to making the right plays just at the right time. You just see, he's not as big as his brother is right now. Of course, his brother grew so much, but at the same time, you see so much of LeBron inside of him. Just the awareness and plus the passes and just etc. And I know as the league goes on, they're going to try and get him so they can get LeBron, but also he is a great asset to have down the road. Now I don't think that he is going to be a person that is ever going to surpass his dad, but he is going to make a name for himself to just be like, I am here.
Right. And when I look at, you mentioned Bryce, and I see Bryce is like, he's a big kid. Like, I mean, even when they were practicing, last week or a couple of weeks ago in the Lakers facility, I was in awe of how Bryce looks. But I would love to see LeBron play with his son. Like my dad said, like, we've never seen that before. And like Coach said also, like, it would be good to see that. That would be awesome. And he earned every bit of his money. I mean, LeBron is heading into year 20 and you're playing at a high level like this and you're still getting paid big money. I mean, it says he's the highest paid player in NBA history. In year 20, that is just phenomenal. But what I think, when I look at it, I feel like for Bronny, I feel like he has the chance to be good. It's still unknown about what he's going to be. He could completely go a different route from his dad and play a different style. But having LeBron's IQ and LeBron talking to him and teaching him, who knows if the mistakes that LeBron has made in his career, those might be the mistake that he's teaching Bronny not to make. Or like, listen, I did this is how I went through certain things with certain teams. You should do it in this way. So I really want to see how that's going to work, but I would love to see that in the league. So let's head into a different league. We're going to talk about the NFL, and I want to start with my dad. So the preseason's kicked off for these past couple weeks. So Dad, I want to ask you, what players stick out to you most? Either it's from the Bucks. I know you're the Bucks fan, but what
Absolutely.
team or what players are sticking out the most to you that you're like, I think this player should get a starting position?
Well, I'm looking at, and forgive me, his name slips me right now, but the quarterback that was playing for the Tennessee Titans just the other night.
Malik Willis.
Malik Willis.
Yeah.
What I saw from here, I saw a lot of intangibles. You can't. His athletic ability is obviously there. That's his God-given ability. And with the direction of the league right now, those athletic quarterbacks are starting to take the league over, because back in the day when you had athletic quarterback, they were, considered a one-trick pony. Once you figure out, oh, they like to run, they like to do this, so we're going to shadow them and we're going to shut it down. But these guys are evolving to be good passers as well, which to me is a very huge deal as it relates to just the competitive side of it, mismatch. I'm talking about as far as the mismatches, because if you got a guy who can run the ball as well as this guy I saw the other night, and he's able to get the ball down the field, he's a matchup nightmare for any team. So I think Tannehill has a problem. So I'll be really looking for him to do something. Right now, I think that would be a guy I would like to see with that team to see what he can do.
And another thing, just the little knocker with him, Malik Willis, he still has some accuracy issues, because that's always been the question of those mobile quarterbacks like that. Like, can they deliver the ball accurately? So that's always the question. But seeing him, so the first preseason game I saw, I was like, okay, he looks pretty good. Then the next one, I'm like, okay, this has to be real. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this kid seems like he's legit. But I feel like for Tannehill, when I look at the Tennessee Titans offense, you have Derrick Henry, who's the workhorse of that offense. That offense goes as far as Derrick Henry goes. And then you lose A.J. Brown. And that's a big deal. Like, he's one of the better young, talented receivers in this league. So when you see that happen, you know, you always question, okay, how is this offense going to look? When you put Malik Davis, I feel that will relieve pressure off of Derrick Henry, because he has a running ability as well. So we know Derrick Henry, he's coming off an injury. He had a foot injury. And he came back in the playoffs. He looked pretty good. I mean, he still had but you could tell he's still, you know, getting back to his shape. But having a running quarterback like that, someone who can roll outside of the pocket like Malik and go down the field and make those dink and dunk plays, I feel like that's going to relieve pressure off of Derrick Henry. Coach Sean, what do you think about that? Like, you may not think the same, but what other players in the NFL, as far as preseason, that you feel like are standing out? Like, oh, this guy's going to be good.
Yeah, so I think for me, two players that I think are going to take a big leap. You know, I live in Philadelphia, so I'm gonna say Jalen Hurts, which goes back to that mobile quarterback that can do a little bit. I think that he's got a little bit of a raw deal here in Philly, where you know, they don't understand that he's a young quarterback, but the dude just wins. He's got intangibles. So I would expect him to make another leap. I'm rooting for him because I think that he is super talented. I think that he's had a rough go with coordinators, receivers, health, that now they can have a little bit of consistency, that he should be able to step up. And I also expect Trevor Lawrence to make a huge leap, because I think he's been one of the best quarterback prospects to come out of college football, and probably since Andrew Luck. And so, you know, there was a lot of turmoil with the Jaguars last year with that coaching staff. It was a mess. I don't know who would want to play for Urban Meyer, but, you know, for him to have a little bit more stability year two, he's got some great receivers. So I really think that he's someone to circle as someone that could make a sizable leap in year two.
And that's one thing I just don't like for these young quarterbacks that are coming in. They come in these systems that are horrible. And then we think, all right, are they a bust? Are they, like, you know, are they washed? Were they really what we thought they were? But the organizations don't put enough around them. Like, Trevor Lawrence didn't deserve that first year at all, with Urban Meyer doing all of that nonsense and just a lot of different things going on. It's, you know, undeserved. He didn't deserve that. I mean, he won at Clemson. I mean, the kid was going to the national championship with Clemson. I mean, he was very good. But, you know, you get drafted to a team like that, you know, that happens. You end up being a high draft pick, and these teams are good like that, and you go into a system like that, and it's unfortunate. But, Jeremiah, to you, I know what you're going to say. I know who you're going to say, but I want to hear you say it. Who is standing out to you in preseason right now?
I would say the Dolphins quarterback depth. From Tua to Skyler Thompson to Teddy Bridgewater. The things that I've seen these last two games when it comes to the Dolphins quarterbacks, I see great growth, and I see a promising future when it comes to these three. Let me start off first with saying with Tua, his accuracy is always on point. You can say a lot of different things about him being smaller. You know, sometimes he can be, not able to run the ball as fast as, as a Lamar. But at the same time, his accuracy is just through the roof when it comes to him being on that play. And it proved that, especially in this last preseason game that they had against the Raiders. He was very on point. And then you see Teddy Bridgewater comes in, and you already know what he is going to do. He is a great backup in his own. He launches the ball down the field and gets the crowd very excited. And another person I am excited about is, of course, Skyler Thompson. He comes from Kansas State. We just drafted him, and he has been incredible to start off, doing 100+ yards, especially during those third and fourth quarters. He's getting the team to just a great spot going against, of course, other teams' third strings. But at the same time, you see a bunch of promise inside of this young man. And these last 2 games, the Dolphins really won one game by a field goal and missed the other one by a field goal. So I just think that they're moving in the right direction and they have something to work with.
Yeah, with the Dolphins, we all saw what happened with the ownership. We talked about it many times before. But I'm noticing with Tua, he's getting the ball out a lot quicker than he did before. And it has a lot to do with Mike McDaniel. He came from the 49ers, who's the offensive coordinator for the 49ers. So they're going to add to the offense. You have Tyreek Hill. You add the guy like that. Then you have Jalen Waddle. You have Gesicki at tight end. Then you have the running backs, Moister, who was with the 49ers also. So I think Mike McDaniel is going to different philosophy to the offense to make Tua a lot more comfortable instead of saying Tua just launch it down the field. And I think that's very important for Tua because I see the Dolphins as a dink and dunk team this season, even though they have a lot of speed. And then you add Cedric Wilson from the Dallas Cowboys, who's another good receiver. I think they're going to do a lot of dink and dunk. And I think if you catch Waddle or Tyreek down the field and Tua sees it, I think Tua can deliver the ball 100%. And then if that doesn't work out, you still have Teddy Bridgewater. And Teddy Bridgewater, he had a rough going in his career, having those injuries. And he was another great young quarterback in this league that could play very good football. But we'll definitely see. I'm rooting for the Dolphins. I'm looking forward to the Dolphins. Now, one more player that I have, which is from my Packers, because I'm a Packers fan first, is Romeo Doubs. He is the receiver I'm really excited about that we got in the 4th round. I'm really excited about him. He's very fast. His hands are very good, and he's acrobatic. And being that we lost Devontae Adams, I'm really hungry to see what these young receivers are going to do. We add Sammy Watkins, so I don't know what's going to happen with that. So I'm very optimistic, but, there's a lot of things working against us. But to wrap up the night, let's talk about the expectations from our teams. Coach, I want to start with you. You said Philly. What are your expectations for the Philadelphia Eagles? Are they going to win the division?
So I'm actually a Commanders fan. I have to get used
to okay. Never.
But seeing that I'm in Philly, I'm not trying to, go out and get mugged for saying I'm a Commanders fan. I'm going to root for my home team. I'm going to root for the Washington Commanders, and I have high hopes for them. I think we have a heck of a defense. But I don't know. We always seem to just kick it away. So I honestly do think the Eagles will win the division. I know Cowboys are, fake news. I don't ever believe in the Cowboys. They always find a way to they're America's team, but they're also America's heartbreak. So you're not going to get any Cowboy love from this guy.
Absolutely. I don't like them either. But Dad, you Bucks and Broncos fan, what are your expectations for both of them?
It's going to be a tough one because the Bucks is Super Bowl or bust. It is what it is this year. We got
the Broncos are Super Bowl or bust now.
Not really. The expectation for the Broncos right now is they're a playoff team now. Russell Wilson has increased that much because they do have some decent talent, but for what the Bucks are doing and what we were able to do last year, we got to go all the way this year. There's no doubt about that. And I think that with Tom Brady's going to have even more control this year with some of the acquisitions we have on defense. I think that we're going to be able to turn the corner on that because when you look at, when I was listening to a podcast or an interview with Ray Lewis, and they asked him about Brady coming back, and this is what I believe the whole time. And you remember this, I'm like, Brady's not done. Because when you look at his competitive side, how they lost last year, remember we were watching that game together? Yes, I was devastated. So we literally gave the Rams all they can handle with a completely depleted roster. Absolutely. We didn't have 2 of our top receivers were gone. Yes. And we still were within a play of winning that game.
Yes.
And it took a blown coverage for us to lose that game. And yes. I will say this because I have to go back to this team because I'm really a fan of this particular guy. Is that's the Bengal with Joe Burrow. I was really impressed with him from when he was at LSU and what he's doing in the league right now. If you look at him even before he got injured, that guy has always had this ice water in his veins. He
Mm-hmm.
has that it factor for me, and I think the NFL is in good hands. I can't say the
It's
same for
like,
the NBA, but I think the NFL is in good hands as far as hey, we got some really good young quarterbacks that we're going to be able to see for years to come, and I'm very excited about that. But I'm also looking at if the Bengals have addressed some of those offensive line issues,
which
the
they did.
Bengals are going to be they're going to be tough to deal with because guess what? They believe now. They were at the dance and they almost won that game.
Right.
So now all the teams we think like Buffalo and the Chiefs and different things like that, I
They got,
think you got to start looking at the Bengals as one of the top teams because they had to go through all of that to get to where they got. So
mm-hmm.
I think for me, the Bengals is going to be the favorite for me over there just because they were there last year, and I don't see them getting any worse. They're young,
So,
and I
Dad,
think
you're
they're going to get better.
the Bengals over your Broncos with Russell Wilson?
Right now, I'm going to pick the
Oh,
Bengals
how
just
about
because of what they did. Yeah, I think the
that?
Broncos are going to be a playoff team, but
Dad,
Burrow,
all the Broncos needed was a quarterback. They had a top 5 defense every
yeah,
year, and they have young
true,
receivers. And you add Russell, yeah, I
true.
don't know, Dad.
It puts away. It's gonna be 1 and 2. I mean, it can go either way, but I saw what I saw last year, and if they address some of those issues,
Well,
I think it could be the Bengals.
the AFC is very stacked, though. I will agree on
Yeah.
that. It's very stacked. Jeremiah, for you, what are we looking at with the Dolphins? What are we thinking?
Playoffs, baby. I think it's playoffs all day when it comes to my Miami Dolphins. Not saying Super Bowl, we got to work towards that. But I'm saying playoffs. That is what I'm looking at right now in this future. When I was talking about before, a promising future, playoffs is a promising future. I want to see our team have a certain identity, a new culture with McDaniels and that new offensive coaching staff around there. We have this defense that's come back that was ranked at the top 5 of last 2 years in the league. And to have this offense where we have Waddle, where we have Cedric Wilson, where we have what's it called, Tyreek Hill, and just many more rookies that just came in that are playing their butts off right now, and plus Edmund and so many that we have in running backs. And I feel like this team can go all the way. You just see what happens in this offseason. They're saying how close this chemistry is and how much they want to win and just change this city around, because you already know that they always looked at the Dolphins just as the pushover. I just don't want to be remembered for this team just as, just the undefeated season that was like, more than like 60 years ago. I want to have making history right now.
I agree. There has to do a lot of, they have to find consistency. I think in Miami, definitely consistency. I'm glad they have McDaniels. I thought he was a very good hire. And then he was under the wing of Shanahan. So he has that philosophy that they're going to bring. And then you add a bunch of weapons to that team. So I'm definitely going to see what the
I wouldn't be
Dolphins.
surprised if Bridgewater takes the starting position. I just had to throw that out there.
I don't think he is. Tua's already starting.
No, I
But
wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised later on. Just keep an eye on it because if Tua struggles, you got a guy that's a viable threat back there. Bridgewater,
he was a viable threat
Bridgewater
for
was that
LeBron.
guy. No, but here's the thing though. They didn't bring him in for nothing. So if Tua struggles, mark my words, Bridgewater can be out there starting. I'm telling
Because
you.
I know Bridgewater's he was on a streak before he got that injury last year when
Absolutely.
he
The
was on the
only
Broncos.
problem with him is his injury history.
Mhm.
That's just the thing.
And
Now,
Tua's a little delicate too.
huh?
Tua's a little delicate too.
Yes, they're all delicate, but I think with Tua, you that was your top pick in the first round. You got to
Hmm.
make it happen. So I mean, he has the weapons. I'm starting to see a lot of improvement. Plus, he won a national championship
We're
with
going to be
Alabama,
good.
so he has all of that. He has all those intangibles. Now for the Packers. Oh man, I saw what Aaron said about the receivers. Today he said he's seeing improvement. I think our defense is going to be a lot better. We had in the first round, we drafted 2 Georgia defensive players, so I'm really excited about that. I think us losing Devontae is huge, but I think that the young receiver, we still have Cobb there. Cobb is still there. Tonyan is still there. You have a lot of guys, and you bring Sammy Watkins, who's a veteran. And then you have the young guys who are big and physical, which I'm really excited about. And then Lazard, I think Lazard is going to take the number 1 spot, though, because he's 6'6", and he was a very good blocking receiver. It was him and Devontae going back and forth. So I'm optimistic. I think we will win division, but it gets scary for the Packers fans when we go into the playoffs, because it seems like, okay, we got the number 1 seed for the past 2 years and we lose in a heartbreaking fashion. So I'm optimistic. I think we'll win the division, but when it gets to the playoffs, I'm scared. I'm very scared. So I will definitely see. I think all the teams you guys mentioned, except for the Cowboys, are going to do very well. I think they're going to do very, very well.
But
the Cowboys, I don't want to hear anything Cowboys. I don't want to see anything Cowboys. And then when they lose, they're going to start crying. I don't have time for that. But that wraps up tonight's show. Thank you, Coach Sean. Thank you, Dad. Thank you, Jeremiah, for being on the show. It's always a pleasure. Thank you, Leon. Thank you, Jay. And thank you, Voss, for your support. And thank you, everyone who supports the show. If you guys want to be a guest on my show and see past episodes, down below you can see my website. It's jasmineonsports.com. You will see me next week. We're going to talk about more sports. I'm sure there's more topics going to come about, more NFL preseason, and then the season's going to start kicking off. So I'm really excited, and we're going to do a lot more predictions. So that wraps up tonight's show. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful night. Have a wonderful week. See you next week for more sports talk. Have a good night.